Welkom terug jongens en meisjes. Aan het einde van de vorige video waren wij aangekomen in Whitechapel. Alwaar wij op zoek zijn naar een vreemde man. Waarvan mij niet meer helder staat wat precies de bedoeling daarvan was. We waren op zoek naar een verpleegster. Die verdwenen is. En die hier shady dealings heeft in dit stadsdeel. Maar goed, we gaan op zoek. In Whitechapel. Hier kan ik naartoe springen. Daar is een unknown person. Laten we die eens even gaan opzoeken, die unknown person. 2 unknown persons. Staat hier rustig sigaretje te roken.
I have a few questions for you.
Another journalist? I didn't answer the first one, so piss off!
I'm not a journalist, I'm a doctor.
A doctor, you say? It's quite a rare breed in this part of town.
Really?
Ja, dat geloof ik.
But still, here I am. Dr. Jonathan Reed, at your service.
I'm Joe Peterson to some, but Colossus Joe to most. And I don't remember asking for your service, sir.
Oh ja, die man denkt dat hij de basis hier in de stad.
Expertise, Mr. Peterson.
The name is Colossus Joe. I don't get sick.
Oké, lijkt me duidelijk.
May I ask what you do around here?
I do whatever I want, and sometimes even more. Now sod off.
According to you, physicians are scarce in this part of town. Why is that?
Not familiar with this neighborhood, are you? I guess your fancy colleagues are too afraid of being stabbed in the back.
This part of town does have quite a reputation. Would you say it's justified?
Totally. Look at me, for instance. I always look my opponent in the eye before knocking him out.
Wat ga je doen, jongen, met je grote mond? Ik zie dat we nog heel veel praatopties niet kunnen gebruiken.
She's a colleague of mine.
Mogelijk hebben we daar nog meer hints voor nodig. Maar goed, dat komt vanzelf.
Yeah, I know her. One of the few good souls who dare to help the sick around here.
Could you please tell me more about her?
She's a nice girl. Tries to help the migrants. I offered to give her a hand, but she said my reputation would attract too much attention.
Ah, zijn reputation.
Goodbye, Mr. Peterson.
Oké, nou heb ik hier een deur die open kan. Oh nee.
Hello, young man. I'm Dr. Reed, and I would like to ask you a few questions. May I enter, please?
Sorry, no sir. My father does not like people entering our house, you see.
Your father is worried about you, boy.
Oh, hier woont die jongen die wij eerder geholpen hebben.
My father actually worries about me then. Okay then. Come on in. I'm Harry, by the way.
Harry heet hij. Hallo Harry. Kijk, ik kom rustig binnen hier bij Harry. Eerst wat ik doe, als ik kastjes leeg haal. Lekker man.
So, may I ask you a few questions?
I'm not bothered. What could be worse?
Do you need any medical help, young man?
Yes, I do. I feel so tired. I don't know if it's the epidemic, but everything seems so
Die man heeft
hard.
medicijnen nodig. Die heb ik, dus die kan ik hem geven.
You'll feel
Hier,
better
alsjeblieft.
with this. But you need to get a grip, young man. Medication alone won't cure melancholia.
I'm not sure I'm happy with the idea of living
Treatment
long
for
a while
fatigue.
like this. But I thank you for your concern, sir.
Nou, even
How
ondervragen.
do you feel?
I'm fine. I mean, it's not easy every day, but I'm fine. I'm just tired of being sick all the time. If only I could be tough like, well, you know.
Speaking of which, what can you tell me about your father?
My father is an idiot who makes idiot things. That's all I have to say.
Oké,
Forgive
zijn
my
vader
boldness,
maakt
young
dingen.
man, but you don't seem happy living in Whitechapel.
Why should I? I never wanted to come here in the first place. It was my
Het is mij nog
father's
niet duidelijk
decision.
wie precies de vader is van deze jongen. Het lijkt toch niet de jongen te zijn die we eerder geholpen hebben.
You have a roof over your head, a place to call home. Many people here are not as lucky, you know.
That's exactly what my father says. Harry, you should be grateful for what you've got. But I wasn't even consulted when we moved here.
If life here is so terrible for you, why don't you just leave this place? Have you ever spoken to your father about it?
I don't go outside. It terrifies me so. I went outside once without my father noticing and I
Ja, dat geloof ik wel. Hij is bang om naar buiten te gaan, al die vampieren op straat.
So that's why you stay at home all day? For fear of the epidemic?
I'm not afraid of disease or death, Dr. Reed. It's the living I'm afraid of.
Ah. Hier heb ik allemaal hints weer voor nodig. Kan ik niet mee praten.
Dorothy Crane from the Pembroke Hospital. I'd like to know more about her.
Yes, I know her. She came here to examine me when I was very sick. She said I should go out more.
Ja, doe dat dan.
Goodbye, young man.
Wat een gast,
Take
jongen.
care of yourself.
Maar goed, meer informatie heeft hij niet. Dus had hij wel een kluis. Die gaan we even leeg trekken. Hop. Large box of pills. Nog een medische kist. Harry Peterson, ja, die hebben we ontmoet. Wat is hierboven? Een bed. Staat hier iemand? Joe Peterson. Oh nee, die loopt buiten. Dat is zijn vader dus. Oké, dan weten we dat ook. Job refusal letter. Ah, we hebben iets geleerd over Joe Peterson. We hebben een collectible gevonden. Nou, dat is het dan wel hier in deze woning. Maar we kunnen wel met Joe Peterson praten over deze hint die we net hebben gevonden, denk ik. Dus laten we dat maar eens even gaan doen. Joe, waar ben je gebleven? Hij staat helemaal aan de andere kant van de straat in één keer. Wie ben jij? Weer een nieuwe man.
Please take a browse of my wares.
I am Dr. Reed.
Winkelier.
I would like to ask you a few questions, if you don't mind.
Doctor? Interesting. I'm Barrett Lewis. Usually I don't have time to waste with talk, but at this hour of the night I can hardly refuse.
Do you need help, sir?
I only need you to purchase something from my shop, sir.
Oké, dan niet.
How is business around here?
Business? I have no business. Between this racket, theft, and customers getting scared, I'm losing money every day.
I see. Sounds like you blame someone in particular for your situation.
It's no secret Joe Peterson spends his time harassing merchants. But with me, he's trying to put me out of business once and for all.
Ja, weer een hint over Joe
As a
Peterson.
merchant, you see Whitechapel every day. Have you noticed anything out of the ordinary recently?
Well, you mean besides the epidemic, the war, and all the usual crap? As long as I can remember, this part of town has been a bottomless pit, and no sign of the bottom yet.
Have you been hurt?
No, but that's only because I ran like hell. Those men were raving lunatics, I tell you. Not even able to speak anymore, just screaming.
Ja, dat zijn die...
Violence is
God, hoe heet ze ook weer?
Yeah.
Skags?
A few
Nee,
nights ago, some blokes jumped me. Came out
ik
of
ben
one
de
of the
naam
condemned
vergeten.
workshops.
Skulls. Dat was het. Skulls.
Madness, something like that.
Where did this happen? Why did you go there?
In the closed workshops nearby. I worked there as an apprentice in better days. Now I only go to find trinkets or tools. Too bad I was mugged though. There was good money in that little box of loot I lost.
Misschien moeten we die dan even gaan zoeken voor hem. Ja, inderdaad. Personal questions, er wel maar hints voor nodig.
Have
Hebben we
you heard
niet.
of a nurse
Moet ik eerst nog
called
vinden.
Dorothy Crane?
Nurse Crane. So the bitch really is a nurse then. I always thought she was just some crafty foreigner, that one.
Deze man is bijzonder onvriendelijk.
So she's trying to help her fellow immigrants. Why would that make her a villain?
Dorothy Crane ain't even a real name. Something like Dorothea Craniu. Something like that. Came to England fleeing the war, I was told.
That doesn't explain why she irritates you so much.
Your precious nurse Crane gives away medical supplies and prescriptions for free. I offered to sell it for a fair cut, but no. Miss Crane wanted to play the quiet saint.
Weer een hint.
Right then.
Nou, wat heeft hij te kopen? Laten we eens kijken. Medicijnen, ja, sowieso. Sowieso. Grease, aluminum powder. Handle parts. Dat kan ik mijn wapens mee upgraden. Dat is misschien wel handig, maar ik heb niet zoveel geld. Ik ben een beetje skeer. Nee, ik kan daar niks mee. Sorry meneer.
Cheap price, good quality. Hey, come on, take a look. Don't be afraid.
Deze man komt geld halen.
You again? What do you want this time?
Ik ben eens te weten gekomen over jouw leven.
How did you become the local bully everyone is afraid of, Joe?
There's no pride in roughing up poor bastards. But this is the only job I found. And it pays well too.
A job? So you're racketeering for someone else?
I got enlisted by the Wet Boot Boys, a gang from the docks.
De Wet Boot Boys. Hun leider hebben we ontmoet. Sterker nog, die hebben we gered. Ja.
You survive at any cost, even at the expense of others. Perhaps that's just the law of nature.
I don't care what you think, sir. I do what I have to do for my own reasons. And that's that.
I'm not sure Mr. Lewis would agree with your by all means necessary philosophy, sir.
Oh, do you really think he's the poor victim here? Barrett can be as sneaky as anyone. Long ago, I even called the bastard my best friend.
Oeh, dat is een belangrijke hint.
Harry doesn't seem happy living in Whitechapel. Why did you make him come here?
I've always put my son's interests above everything else, whatever he may think. Our house is small but affordable. The walls are thin, but the door is solid.
You really love your son, don't you, Mr. Peterson?
He's my pride and joy. Even if he hates me for the choices I make and pushes me buttons more than he should.
Do you have any regrets?
Only one. Not to have my beloved wife by my side. She died when Harry was little. My sweet Jane. She gave the boy confidence.
Ja, dat is hij nu kwijt natuurlijk.
Since the criminal nature of your job means you could be arrested, are you not afraid of what would happen to your boy if you were?
No one will ever take my son away from me. If that ever occurred, I'd hunt the bastard down and rip off his head with my bare hands.
Ja, dat is niet hoe het werkt, vriend.
Why do you keep on working for the gang, Joe? You know it doesn't suit you.
It's true, I hate this job. And I know I made some bad choices, but I'm a wet boot boy now. And people won't forget it.
You could leave tomorrow. Start another life in another town.
That's easy for you to say, Doctor. We are poor. My son's weak. And there's no way he'll endure another disappointment.
Oké, nou dan hebben we alle hints weer
Goodbye,
gebruikt.
Mr. Peterson.
Dan kunnen we weer verder lopen. En de objective die wij zoeken is ook hier. Dus dat komt mooi uit. Darius Petrescu is de man die we zoeken. Hij is hier in een huis. Hij heeft een hoed op. Belangrijk detail. Even aankloppen.
What do you want? Leave me alone.
Good evening, sir. I'm Dr. Reed. I'm looking for Nurse Dorothy Crane.
There is no Dorothy Crane here. Now goodbye.
I'm afraid this medical leaflet says the opposite, sir.
Really? Well, I'm afraid I'm going to close this door right now. Go bother someone else, Mr. Doctor.
To enter that house, I must discover who this man really is. Maybe I could start by observing what he's up to.
Hij laat ons niet binnen. We moeten die man in de gaten houden. Hij heeft ook bronchitis. Hij gaat naar de buren. Dorothy. Ze is hier.
A strange man was at the door with a pass for our medical facility. I refused him entry.
Darius, how could you know he didn't need our help?
His clothes were too finely tailored to be from Whitechapel.
Perhaps just a friend of that stray poet who is always about.
Stray poet.
Richard Nethercott? No, not of the same cloth, this man. I suspect some machination from that journalist.
Clayton Darby. Is he still asking questions?
Yes. I saw him drifting around St. Mary's Church.
We hebben wel enkele buurtbewoners die spreken over een journalist.
I must talk to that journalist or the poet.
Find
They
the
must
journalist.
know about Darius. Nearby the church they just mentioned.
Nearby the church is een journalist. Nou, ik ben benieuwd. Barrett Lewis, die hebben we net al gezien. Hier zit bloed aan de muur. Daar is een unknown figuur. Er zijn 2 unknown figuren. Laten we eens even gaan praten met deze 2 unknown figuren. Even kennis maken.
Father Tobias Whitaker is always happy to teach mortals about the incoming Armageddon.
I am Dr. Jonathan Reed, and I just have a few questions.
A scientist? You are much more lost than I thought, my son.
Don't you fear getting sick yourself?
I've been touched by God's grace. I am perfectly healthy.
Nou, dat lijkt me duidelijk.
What do you mean when you say that I am more lost than you thought?
All scientists are entangled in a world of causes and consequences, and most of them can't see the plain truth.
Quite a judgmental opinion, if you ask me. But what do I know? Blinded by science as I am.
But you are seeking answers, aren't you? Answers
We
about
zijn
the
inderdaad op zoek naar
Armageddon,
antwoorden. Dat
about
heb je goed
the
ingeschat.
Answers about the hidden truth.
Well, I suppose I can spare a few minutes listening to your so-called truth.
As a doctor, you must be aware of the decimating epidemic. But let me tell you that this so-called Spanish flu is just the beginning of the end.
What do you mean?
The beast is finally revealing itself, corrupting the flesh and the heart of men. With my own eyes I have seen them, those minions from the abyss.
Really?
Wat is jouw plan?
And what would be your answer to this biblical threat?
We must fight the disease before this legion outnumbers us. But not with scalpels and microscopes. No.
What is left then?
Cleansing fire.
Natuurlijk.
Tell me, Tobias, what exactly is your plan concerning the cleansing of this city?
God will recognize his own. More than once this city has risen from the ashes, hardened and purified by the flames.
Purification by fire.
Dus het plan van deze man is om gewoon het hele stadsdeel in de fik te steken en kijken wie er
The
uit.
clothes, the buildings,
Interessant.
corpses, worse.
Your lack of faith is predictable. But my task is to convince rational minds like yours to see the light. This is God's will.
You're mad and dangerous. You're nothing but a soulless butcher, a small-time Torquemada, the Savonarola of Whitechapel.
My son, if you think salvation is a free gift, go listen to the lies of that pompous fool, Joseph.
Joseph, a fool.
Vicar Larrabee of St. Mary's Church. While he continues preaching his fraudulent redemption, more and more people die in the streets.
We leren iets over een persoon die we nog niet kennen.
Have you any friends? Any family left in these terrible times?
No. But I have a disciple I see as my son. He is so devoted. I send him to preach the good word in the heart of this corrupted city.
Where did you send him?
I sent Samuel to the Stonebridge Cemetery, Where the
Dat
pestilence
is
and
verstandig.
evil grows night after
Jongen,
night.
jongen. Hier is een plaag gaande met allemaal gekke vampieren en monsters.
As
En
a
hij stuurt zijn enige zoon naar het kerkhof.
Samuel will fear no evil while he walks through the valley of the shadow of death.
Hey, hij denkt hij is coolio. Walk through the shadows in the valley of death. Gekke priester.
Pembroke Hospital. I'd like to know more about her.
I don't like the liberal ideas of nurses, but I especially abhor that nurse Crane you mentioned.
Why do you hate Nurse Crane more than other nurses?
Before coming to London, she was a member of the communist resistance in her country.
Ah,
That's
dat
what
is
happens
relevante
when a
informatie.
woman get involved in politics.
Dat is relevante
So
informatie.
you're not exactly a fan of Florence Nightingale's work. But nurses are essential for modern healthcare.
Nuns should be the only women allowed to take care of male patients. It's obvious only they have the necessary moral fiber.
Hij denkt dat al die mensen allemaal viezerikken zijn. Ik denk dat dat in veel gevallen ook wel zo is. Maar goed, we hebben deze man voldoende uitgehoord. Hier stond nog een andere man. Daar gaan we ook nog even mee praten. Liggen hier nog spullen voor het oprapen? Nee, ik ga met deze man praten.
Excuse me, sir. Are you familiar with this part of town? Name's Clayton Darby, reporter.
Sorry. I'm
Ah,
new
dit is
to
de reporter. De journalist waar iedereen het over heeft. Die hebben we gevonden. Mooi.
Journalist. My name is Jonathan Reed.
Dr. Reed, the famous surgeon. I'll gladly help if I'm able, sir.
Kijken of hij medicatie nodig heeft.
That would be nice of you, doctor. Who knows what I may have caught you in my investigation.
Give medicine. Oké, ik kan hem medicijn geven voor iets wat ik heb.
If you persist in investigating the most pox-ridden boroughs of London, you must accept the risks.
Thank you, sir.
A treatment for fatigue, ook al. Oeh, dan heb ik er nu alles gebruikt wat ik had. Moeten we even een paar nieuwe maken.
Investigating an underground medical dispensary in Whitechapel. What do you know about it?
Not much, I'm afraid. They are wary of strangers, and I'm not really an acquaintance of theirs. Why do you care?
Ja.
I'm a doctor, Mr. Darby. I care about everything involving
Ik ga hier tegen mijn principe in van altijd eerlijk zijn.
Not just concerned about the repercussions that a scandal involving a certain
Ik ben half eerlijk.
Pembroke Hospital would bring.
Without a doubt, you are a damn fine journalist, Mr. Darby. What do you know of her accomplice, a man named Darius?
I don't know much about the man. He's very cautious. Never goes out. Doesn't seem to have any friends or family.
He has no relatives at all?
No. Except for that strange man, a poet named Richard Nethercott, who sometimes comes by. Darius would never let him in.
Ah, dat is familie van hem.
Mr. Nethercott?
He spends most of his time lurking around Whitechapel, talking to himself or declaring verses. These days, you can usually find him behind the church.
Goed om te weten.
He never goes out.
No. A few days ago, he unexpectedly did. I followed him, but it was just a ruse to keep me away from his house.
Really? How do you know?
He went to the nearest mailbox, but just before posting his letter, he ripped it up and threw it away.
Dat is bijzonder.
Why are the newspapers keeping silent about the Spanish influenza? It's as though none of you care.
There's a war going on. People shouldn't be demoralized by news of deadly diseases.
I served in France. Our top priority must be to put an end to this butchery. This war must stop now.
Sir, streets are a battlefield too. An invisible and untold war is going on, and it must be stopped.
Oké.
Have you any idea of the danger you face in these streets at night?
I've had to run and hide more than once from frenzied mobs incensed by the fever. Do you think the flu is really responsible for this, Doctor?
I'm convinced there is more at work here than a simple epidemic.
Really? To be honest, I could say the same.
Kijk, we zitten op één lijn met deze reporter. Mogelijk levert ons dat iets op in de long run.
What is a journalist doing in this borough after sunset?
He goes where none of his colleagues would dare to go, to inform the country.
So you risk your life to reveal the truth. I saw many reporters do the same during the war.
Whitechapel is the crucible of so many untold stories and tragedies. I want people to know them.
Kijk, we leren wel iets over deze man.
But is the public interested?
Not at all, sir. And that's why I'm an independent journalist, hoping to sell some stories.
Nou, het publiek is niet geïnteresseerd in zijn verhalen. Ook goed om te weten. Maar we hebben wel nieuwe informatie vrijgespeeld die we niet kunnen gebruiken bij deze man. Maar ja, mogelijk wel weer bij een andere persoon. Een beetje uitkijken wat hier nou allemaal is. Want ik kan hier lopen. Maar kijk, daar is weer zo'n beest. Een skaal. Zo'n monster. Hij ziet mij niet. Ik zie hem wel. Oh. Er spant een beest in mijn gezicht. Oh, er spannen 3 beesten in mijn gezicht. Die zijn nu alle 3 gesneuveld. Ik bedoel, ze moeten niet proberen hier om strijder Toemusje aan te pakken. Gekke beesten. Hier ligt een dode man op de grond. Dan is hier nog een bordje. Quarantine area. Ja, nou ja, goed, dan gaan we daar maar niet naar binnen. Dan zie je een winkel met fruit. Ja, dit is toch waar ik heen moet, maar ik zie niks hier verder ineens. Find Richard in the area. Oh, hier is een unknown man. Mogelijk is dat Richard. Hij staat hier te prediken in het kerkhof. Richard. Even met hem praten. Hoi Richard.
Good evening, sir. I'm Dr. Reed. I would like to ask you a few questions.
Please be my guest. Although I may not be the best informant regarding this part of town, my words speak about that which the eyes cannot see.
Really? Are you an artist of some kind?
I'm a poet, sir. Richard Nethercott, at your service.
Kijk, die man zochten we. Dus dat komt mooi uit. Heeft hij nog
Do you need
medicatie
medical
nodig?
attention, sir?
It may be wise to let you prescribe me something. I don't feel like I should.
Give medicine. Oké.
I understand your appetite for words and macabre beauty, sir. But you should be more careful.
The nutrition of my mind is more important than my physical health.
Medicatie voor verkoudheid heb ik hem gegeven.
May I ask what you're doing at this hour of night, sir? Do you live here?
Not at all. I'm just enjoying the pleasure of a quiet walk. Though night talks are always preferable, if you ask me. Especially with strangers.
Zoveel strangers zal hij toch niet tegenkomen hier
Are you
midden in
not
de nacht.
afraid of the epidemic?
Oh, why should I? I see some equity in the Spanish flu. No flesh should be saved, say the scriptures. Good or evil, rich or poor, all are equal in the eyes of the flu.
If you say so. But as a physician in a time of epidemic, I must caution you to avoid unnecessary exposure, sir.
Thank you, Doctor. But we both know the seeker of truth has to go boldly where the weak dare not.
Wijze woorden van deze man.
What are your thoughts on the terrible situation in this city?
Terrible, you say? No. Of course, the death of so many innocents is a tragedy. But the scourge has not been all bad for the city. Oh, no, sir.
What are you talking about?
Do you remember London before the flu? Noisy, cacophonic, quiet nowhere to be found. And now, listen to this oddly peaceful silence.
Yes. The enjoyable silence of the grave. You have a unique perspective on the situation, I must admit.
Most people fail to understand my perspective. I don't blame them. But how could I call myself a poet if I veiled my feelings?
Are you
Dat
aware
is waar.
that your life could be in danger in this part of town?
But this is where I must be to feel the real beat of the city. I had to come, see it for myself, alone.
If some misfortune came upon you, who would be here to help you?
Well, you for a start, my dear doctor.
Sowieso.
I understand your need for solitude, but it's not safe around here.
I don't care. I don't have many friends, Doctor, and my family despises me.
May I ask you a few questions about the district?
Extraordinary part of town, is it not? I'll be glad to help you, if I can.
I'm looking for Dorothy Crane, a nurse who lives in this vicinity.
Dorothy Crane. Oh, I love the name. The Crane of Whitechapel. Sounds very mysterious. But, sorry, no, never heard of her.
Okay.
What can you tell me about an old man called Darius?
Darius Petrescu? Yes, I know him. At first, I thought he was only a small publisher. I invited him to publish
Hij is een
my work,
publisher,
but
die oude
his
man.
reaction was pretty clear.
Not interested in your talent?
Darius is an old political activist who takes delight in printing tracts and lampoons. Those communist activities only require mediocre writing skills.
Kijk, dus die Darius is een communist.
I'll leave
En
you
die
alone.
nurse die wij zoeken is ook origineel een communist. Er liggen hier nog wat items. En laten we die maar meenemen. Kunnen we weer wat mee craften laten. Editor refusal letter. Mr. Nethercott. Een refusal letter. Ah, dan gaan we even vragen bij Mr. Nethercott. We hebben een brief gevonden met jouw naam
Good
erop.
evening, Mr. Nethercott.
And good evening to you too, my good sir. Can I be of any help?
We hebben gevonden in de prullenbak ook.
You don't really make a living from your scribblings, do you, Richard?
No, sir, I don't. I work so hard. I put all my time, my energy, my devotion into the precise carving of words.
Still, you don't seem to suffer from poverty.
With thanks to my parents, actually. I'm afraid I would not be able to live on my own without their help.
You seem embarrassed.
Someday I hope to proudly offer my first publication to my parents. Until that day, I'll remain the failure of a son they have to support.
Tell me, Mr. Nethercott.
Door weer wat geleerd over zijn familie.
The place is not beautiful per se, but
Het is inderdaad een beetje zo die nieuwe gebieden waar we in komen. Moeten we al die mensen weer leren kennen.
In what way exactly?
The struggle by gaslight, the barren smiles and the added hunger under the rain.
If you say so.
Such vibrant antagonism and vivid paradox. The stripped humanity raged across each street.
Vivid, of course, yes. And what about the poignant distress?
Oh yes, the poignant distress. You see what I mean, don't you? That's what I want to write about, and that's what Whitechapel is made of.
Do you not think it a little morbid?
On the contrary, sir, Whitechapel is full of life, full of beauty. Just like my dear muse, the wonderful Camellia.
What can you tell me about Camellia?
Not much, and that's the beauty of it. She can't speak, you know. She's a locked mystery who exhales kindness and sweetness.
Oké.
And have you ever tried to learn more
We hebben hier weer iets geleerd over een mysterieuze inwoner van deze wijk.
Whom she may know.
Maybe I prefer she remains an enigma. Reality can be so dull, don't you think?
Perhaps you're just afraid to find out the truth about your muse.
One day, perhaps, I'll ask her to come with me. But will she still be my wild flower of Whitechapel if she moves uptown?
Interessante gedachte. Nou, dan hebben we nu onze hele conversatie met deze man weer exhausted. En daar loopt iemand, daar links. Camellia. We hebben het net over gepraat. Die loopt hier gewoon. Nou, ik ga er daar ook maar mee praten. This door has been unlocked. Nou, geweldig. Camellia heeft hier een briefje achtergelaten. En wij hebben het briefje opgeraapt. Hier ligt ook een bloemetje. Ook weer met zo'n briefje. Camellia, leg dat eens uit.
Good evening, miss. I'm Dr. Reed. I'd like to ask you a few questions.
Oh ja, ze praat niet. Dat was het.
A tall stranger who meets a girl in the street at night. It reeks of the penny dreadfuls. But I mean you no harm, truly. You don't seem to need my medical attention for now.
Kijk, zij praat niet. Met woorden.
I know you understand what I'm saying. Your silence has nothing to do with you being mute, does it?
Ze beweegt ook niet. Interessant.
Melia, I know you work for Dorothy Crane. Please tell me about her secret dispensary. A stubborn and mute comrade. Nurse Crane and Darius Petrescu have been clever. Tell me about Richard Nithercott. I understand he is quite fond of you, Camellia.
Oké, die vrouw gaat dus daadwerkelijk
Very
niks
well.
zeggen.
Goodbye then.
Ja, dan gaan we er maar vandoor. We zijn op zoek naar... Find the mailbox. Hier is een mailbox. Darius Petrescu's letter. Your loving
The
father.
content of Darius' letter to his children could give me more leverage to enter. Darius is a bit less of a mystery now. It should not be that difficult to incite him to let me in.
Kijk, als we nu met hem praten, we weten nu meer over deze man. Dus mogelijk laat hij ons dan nu binnen. Dat is de gedachte. Hier is weer een unknown persoon. Laten we daar even kennis mee gaan maken.
Don't be shy, handsome. What can Christina do for you?
I'm not looking for what you're selling,
Christina.
but I'd like to ask you a few questions if I may. I'm a doctor, Dr. Reed.
All right then, but be quick, though I usually get paid when I open my mouth.
Do you need any assistance, Miss Popper?
It depends on the price of your medicine.
Treatment for fatigue required. Ja, die heb ik niet. Die heb ik net allemaal uitgegeven. Dus moeten we eerst weer gaan craften.
Christina, have you been examined? The epidemic is spreading fast in London, and you could be exposed, or expose others.
I don't like doctors or hospitals, but I don't like you asking questions.
Oké.
You can put your own life in danger, that's your decision. But what about your clients? If you're contaminated, you will put them in danger too.
And you think that would worry me? If you knew the men I deal with, their health would not be what you'd worry about.
Considering your line of work, I assure you it is only a matter of time before you have health issues.
If it is going to happen, it will happen. Right now, I need money. That's what's important.
Tuurlijk, gaat het om het geld. Wat een vrouw, joh.
Clayton Darby claims he will expose the crisis in Whitechapel to all of London. Do you believe him?
I believe Clayton's courage will erode with time, until he finally leaves Whitechapel to start another fight somewhere else.
Are you talking from experience?
I've seen your type come here to get a good fuck in a cheap room or a dark alley before going back to their fancy houses in the West End.
Daar kom ik niet voor, mevrouw.
Why this skepticism?
How can you speak about starvation if you've never been hungry? Or about poverty? Or anything else you have never suffered from?
Oké, deze vrouw die gaat ons niks nieuws vertellen.
Tell me about yourself.
Are you joking with me? People don't usually come to see me for conversation.
I have no interest in your work. I am, however, curious as to what led you into this career.
Short story. The war, exile, and England. This country is not especially welcoming. I've been refused many jobs because of where I am from. I had few options left.
I always thought I was the master of my own fate. But now I know we don't always have control over our lives. I don't judge you.
You know, this money is not only for me. I have good reasons to need this money quickly. But it is not your concern, Doctor.
Ze geeft ons weer zo'n halve hint. Ook weer niks meer kunnen.
Do you know Nurse Dorothy Crane from the Pembroke Hospital? Anything you can tell me about her would be helpful.
I don't know her, but I know her name is Dorothea Crasionescu. She came from
Kijk,
Romania
deze informatie hebben we eerder gezien.
You seem to respect.
Ze is een Roemeense vrouw in plaats van een Britse
Everyone
verpleegster.
should respect that.
Goodbye, miss.
Zo hebben we dan toch weer wat
Take care of
geleerd
yourself
over
as best you can.
Nurse Crane. En die vrouw heeft een cure voor fatigue nodig die ik niet heb. Hier is Joe Peterson. Oh ja, we gaan nu weer de goede kant op. Ik wil eigenlijk Harry Peterson. Ja, ik moet weer medicatie in elkaar zetten een keer, want komt niet goed. Maar goed, eerst met Darius praten. Die heeft ook medicatie nodig die ik niet heb.
Mr. Petrescu, just 1 minute, please.
You again. Go away.
Sir, wait. Stop this nonsense. I know Nurse Crane is here. Shall we speak man to man, you and I?
All right. Speak up.
Don't you see we're on the same side? We fight to help the poor, sick, and abandoned.
I'm nothing like you, Mr. Doctor.
Yes, you are. You too believe in providing medical care without charge. You know what we have to sacrifice to make the world a better place.
I have to admit your words have convinced.
Ja, we mogen naar binnen.
All right, I'll let you see Dorothea. Don't make me regret this, though.
We mogen naar binnen van die man. Ik ben benieuwd wat Nurse Crane ons te vertellen heeft. We zitten nu in het huis van die dokter. Misschien is hier nog wel een crafting station, aangezien het een huis is. Hij zit lekker in zijn stoel. Ik haal even zijn kluis leeg. Ja, blijf rustig zitten hoor. Ik neem je spullen alleen maar mee. Is hier nog een safe house? Nee. Lijkt er niet op. Hier is nog een... Oh, een hek. Kijk, this door has been unlocked. We hebben een nieuwe plek gevonden. Plek met hek. Nou, Dorothy. Hier liggen 2 patiënten. Daarboven zit iemand die is stervende. Ja, als het geluid zo horen is iedereen die stervende. Ja, we gaan gewoon de hele dispensary hier leeghalen. Dan gaan we daarna met die vrouw praten. Dan zeggen we, ja, je hebt de medische ondersteuning nodig. Maar ja, hij heeft geen spullen. Toons heeft alle spullen. Letter to Nurse Crane. Oké, my dear Dorothea. Ze heeft ook een zus. Kijk, een nieuwe hint available. Een brief van haar zus. Nou, we gaan naar boven. Kijk, is er iemand aan het opereren? Ik haal eerst even rustig al je kastjes leeg, zuster. Kom zo bij je. Ze heeft hulp nodig.
What do we have here, nurse?
Patient Raz Van Vasily. High fever running on 3 days. Complaints of dizziness, muscle aches, and head pain. Diagnosed with influenza.
Treatment?
Aspirin and salicin for the fever and discomfort. Liquids for dehydration, but he's having trouble keeping even water down.
Thank you, nurse. Anything else I should know?
He did lose consciousness this morning, but he's never had convulsions like these.
He's not convulsing, he's choking. He's not getting any air. Scalpel.
We gaan opereren op deze man.
What can I do, doctor?
It's too dangerous to operate with these convulsions. Sedative, nurse. Do we have any anesthetics?
I'm sorry, doctor. None at all.
Oké. Dus we moeten gaan opereren zonder verdoving.
I need to perform a tracheostomy. Short pipe. That rubber tube will do. We're going to cut a passage for air through the neck.
Yes, doctor. He's breathing again, but he's coughing up blood.
Internal hemorrhaging. I need to make another incision into the chest cavity to drain the fluids from the lung. Prepare another tube.
A thoracostomy. Doctor, we've nothing to fight the infection. We need an aseptic environment.
Don't question me, nurse. I need a drain.
Wij zijn de baas,
Yes,
jongen.
doctor.
Oh, ze luistert wel goed. Zij weet dat we net haar grote levensgeheim hebben ontdekt. En toch vertrouwt ze ons. Oh, we trekken even zijn borst open. Dit zijn prettige
He's
beelden.
bleeding, doctor. I'm losing his pulse.
The drain must have punctured the intercostal artery. There's too much blood.
Are you alright, doctor?
I can't
Oh, we
see.
worden verblind door al het bloed. Omdat wij een vampier zijn.
I must first suture the artery. Find the wound. The source of the blood.
Needle and thread, doctor.
We gaan hechten.
Good. The stitches are holding. How's he doing?
We're losing him. We've lost his pulse. He's dying, doctor.
Ja, weet ik veel. Ik ben geen dokter. Wat moet ik doen?
A dose of epinephrine, now.
Yes, doctor.
Hup, douwe spuit erin. Altijd goed. We moeten in één keer een medische procedure gaan uitvoeren hier.
We've lost the pulse. He's gone, doctor.
Nurse, we did everything we could.
Truly? Everything you could. Is that how you'll report this in your log? Is this how the war went? Piling up one poor corpse beside the next?
This was not an influenza-induced seizure. I've never seen symptoms like these on the continent.
Neither have I. But the previous symptoms leading up to this attack were the same, indistinguishable from the epidemic.
No. There was something more vile in these reactions. Something primitive.
There have been numerous reports of mental breakdowns caused by the fever that accompanies the flu itself, Doctor.
Yes, but... I'd best take some samples of the blood for analysis.
Er is iets aan de hand met deze man. Nou ja, er was wat, hij is dood. Dus er is sowieso wat aan de hand met deze man. Maar goed, we kunnen nu met deze nurse praten. Voordat we dat gaan doen, gaan we natuurlijk eerst weer haar spullen stelen. Zo ben ik.
It's locked, all
Deze
right.
kist zit op slot.
This is an unfitting place for the illustrious Doctor. I suspect it was more than intuition alone that led you to us.
Sowieso.
So, how might I be of service, Dr. Reed?
I've come to put an end to this insufferable blackmailing, Dorothy.
Doctor, you think your warnings scare me? I've stolen and plied, blackmailed and lied, but what else am I to do? I'm all these people have.
So, the end justifies the means. Is that your defense?
I know you're kind, Doctor. Just another fine-heeled, silver-spooned gentleman who was given the world on a platter. You know nothing of poverty. Nothing of the shame, the hunger, the loneliness.
But why Lady Ashbury? Why her, of all people?
She's pristine and proper, all right. But that she-wolf in sheep's clothing murders the poor for sport. I have her where she belongs. And I'll milk her for all she's got.
Ze is wel eerlijk, dat moet ik er wel meegeven.
Dr. Swansea is a sensible and honest man. He wouldn't have refused your friend's care at Pembroke.
It's easy for you to say, Doctor. These people cannot go to the police, nor to the hospital. They don't even speak English. They depend on me for everything.
You've convinced me of the sincerity of your actions and their noble justifications. But all the same, blackmail is a crime, and it will stop, Nurse Crane.
So, are you going to turn me over to the authorities?
Charm. Ja, we gaan haar niet charmen. Ga weg, man. We gaan haar ook niet doden. We gaan haar sparen. We zijn aardige mensen.
No. Your place is here. Jailing you would be an even greater crime. So, here is my proposition. I'll look the other way on your little enterprise. In exchange, you will resign from the Pembroke Hospital and provide me with medical supplies when the need arises.
Dr. Reed! That sounds like a business proposition. My accomplice, then?
No, just a privileged client. My research may require the occasional rare piece of equipment or ingredient. I'll pay good coin in exchange, fair and honest, to help finance your noble endeavors.
We have ourselves a deal, Doctor.
Kijk aan, we hebben een deal gesloten met deze
The
vrouw.
customers are always welcome.
Yes, Nurse Crane. We have a deal.
New citizens available to kill. Report to Lady Ashbury. Ah, oké, we moeten nu dus weer terug naar waar we vandaan kwamen. Is hier nog een crafting table ergens? Nee. Oh, eens. Wordt iets gekilld hier?
This one stinks already.
Vampire hunters zijn hier binnen. Vampire hunters. Die hebben mij gevonden. Oké. Er is hier in één keer een heel leger met vijanden ook. Oh. Het Duits was echt volledig mis. Maar goed, deze mannen zijn ook gesneuveld. Report to Lady Ashbury. This door has been unlocked. Dat is mooi. Ik moet ook ergens mijn save point vinden. Of niet mijn save point vinden, wat zeg ik nu dan? Mijn hideout. Hier is nog een unknown persoon. Laten we daar nog eens eventjes mee praten.
Good evening, sir. Are you interested in a miraculous cure for this unknown and deadly epidemic?
Actually, I am.
Then you have come to the right place.
Deze vrouw verkoopt medicatie op straat.
Cordial is all you need to help keep you in perfect health.
Oh, really? Why didn't I hear about it during my studies? I'm Jonathan Reed, by the way. Dr. Jonathan Reed.
Ah, my brother has spoken of your research, sir. I'm Loretta Swanborough, and it's always a pleasure to meet a fellow healer.
You look ill, Miss Swanborough. I wonder if your concoction will do the trick.
I'm perfectly fine, thanks to my miraculous elixir. You, on the other hand, look pale and tired, Doctor.
Nou, laten we eens wat vragen stellen over deze vrouw.
Tell me, who intrigues you most in Whitechapel?
The region itself is something to see, but I would say Camellia the mute florist who gives away her flowers.
What do you think of the locals?
Most of them are afraid or desperate. They all come to me eventually for my remedy.
Natuurlijk.
Is there anyone I should avoid?
Cadogan Bates, without a doubt. The bloody bastard remorselessly
Cadogan
exploits poor
Bates,
migrants
die hebben we
as
nog
soon as
niet
they
ontmoet.
get here.
I'd like to see what kind
Nou,
of
wat
medicine
verkoopt
you
deze vrouw? Laten we eens even kijken. Swanborough Cordial. Ja, en allemaal gekke ingrediënten. Die ga ik er niet kopen, die ingrediënten.
When science fails you, this elixir will give you faith again.
Ik ga terug naar Lady Ashbury. Vooropgesteld dat ik de looproute weet. Het is niet te geloven, maar het lijkt erop dat ik in één keer de goede looproute gepakt heb. Wat is die? Oh, dat zijn ratten. Die kan ik eten. En hier is mijn hideout.
Human blood. Whoever left these marks did so deliberately.
Kill it, boy!
Oh. Ik heb mezelf in een bossfight gehaald. Ik ben door mijn stamina heen. Dodge. Dodge. Mis. Die man is dood. Die man is ook dood. Ja, dat zijn van die gekke vampire hunters die mij hier toch wel actief aanpakken. Hier. Ik sla je met een schep in je zak. Daar worden ze toch niet blij van als je ze slaat met een schep in de zak. Die gasten droppen ook allemaal geen items. Ik moet mezelf weer een beetje healen. Dat kan. Ik ben nog steeds onderweg naar Lady Ashbury. Dan moet ik hier naartoe. Ja, dan ben ik weer bij het ziekenhuis. Nice, nice. Oké. Nou, waar is die Lady Ashbury? Die staat hier nog steeds bij die tent. Oké. Dan ga ik naar die tent en dan ga ik daarna saven. Oh. Ze heeft die man opgegeten. Want ze is een
I would
vampier.
ask you to avert your eyes, sir.
Or did you not know it was rude to stare?
I knew it.
Speak up, Dr. Reed. I like a man who speaks his mind.
You killed him. He trusted you. And you killed him.
Spare me your sarcasm, Jonathan. You are but newly born in this world.
So in the end, the accusation was true, wasn't it?
The situation is somewhat awkward nonetheless. I have not been observed sustaining myself for many decades. I have to say I'm a trifle embarrassed.
Anyway, I have concluded my inquiries concerning your blackmailer.
I see. Please excuse my agitated state. Under normal circumstances, I wouldn't let anyone see me in this condition.
I must confess I have not put an end to the blackmail, my lady. Unfortunately, I could not bring myself to do it.
I'm so disappointed in you, Jonathan. I didn't expect this from you.
Lady Ashbury, you yourself admitted how ridiculous the sum of money was. I can assure you, it was all used for charitable ends.
Well, you are full of surprises, aren't you, Jonathan? All right, say I trust you, but you will still pay the ransom. That is only fair. After all, it was you who failed to bring this problem to a satisfactory conclusion.
I believe I could agree to that.
And since a lady always keeps her promises, I will now answer any questions you may have.
Oh, dat vind ik aardig.
Why does Dr. Swansea allow you to feed on the patients of the hospital?
Dr. Swansea is a good and compassionate man. He is trying to find a solution for our hunger. Until that happens, he is clever enough to understand that I only feed upon the dying.
What do you know about this Brotherhood of St. Paul's Stole?
The Brotherhood is well known amongst London vampire society. As long as our kind is discreet, and as long as they do not interfere, we have come to a mutual understanding.
Ja, dat klinkt wel logisch.
And no one suspected you of the murders.
As you well know, suspicion has recently fallen on me of killing for pleasure. But you have my word, Jonathan. I take no pleasure in taking a life.
Hij moet toch eten?
I know this is beyond the pale, but may I inquire your age?
Really? And I thought you were gentlemen. If you must know, I'm 27. I've been 27 for a long time now, and 27 I shall remain.
And who bestowed upon you this eternal youth?
My maker. He left this isle a long time ago.
Very well. But I believe there is more to this than you are saying.
A lady has to have some secrets.
Okay.
Why did you save me in the canning factory?
I could hardly stand by and watch such a promising young blood as yourself be torn to shreds by some gutter scowl.
William Bishop wasn't the vampire that created me then.
No, Jonathan. Whatever their strength and demeanor, scowls are the progeny of careless vampires. It cannot be the other way round.
What type of vampire is a skull?
Not a true vampire. The deformed offspring of lesser vampires. It is a shame these creatures run wild, slaves to their baser instincts.
Zo leren we wel een beetje wat.
I've been away from London and England for 3 years. This isn't the city I remember.
Things have gone from bad to worse here, Jonathan. I've lived in this city for a long time, and I've never seen it like this.
What is it you fear?
Fear has long since flown this form. But there is something malevolent circling us. I feel fear is merely waiting in the wings.
The Spanish flu has hit London that bad.
Yes, but it's not just that. I've heard things. Things I've not heard for a very, very long time. There are whispers in the shadows. Something far worse than the Spanish flu
dat lijkt me wel duidelijk.
in the city.
Are there many vampires here in London?
Immortals are of a rare breed, and we often tend to hide. But you may occasionally meet some of us at night.
Will they all be as affable as you, my lady?
I do not see why not. But remember, even the shark smiles before he bites.
That sounds like a lesson from experience.
Vampire politics are as intricate and sometimes tedious as a game of chess in a gentleman's club. I've learned from experience it is best to decline to play.
Ja, dat geloof ik.
Do you know any of them? Have you an idea of the identity of the vampire who attacked me?
You mean your maker? No, Jonathan, I have no clue. But I fear he or she is as careless as cruel. To let you discover your new condition by yourself.
What do you mean?
Every now and then, you may discover an immortal in the deep of the night. But we are a rare and reclusive breed. Our progeny is almost never accidental.
When I awoke, changed, I was chased and attacked by vampire hunters. Prepared and well-trained.
Though I can't be certain. More than likely it was the once glorious Guard of Priwen.
Ja, dat hebben we gezien. Ja.
You make them sound like some sort of cult.
More a society. And like all the best ones, a secret society. I thought them almost gone. But it seemed they have been recruiting.
Okay.
Once glorious, but still dangerous.
They have seen better days. But all fanatics are dangerous. You would be wise to stay clear. They are sworn to destroy our kind.
Ja, daar ben ik achter gekomen.
I don't understand. Why was I created and then left for dead?
That is a question only the one who made you can answer. It's not normal practice. I doubt even if you find him, he will answer you, considering how cruelly he treated you.
I'd like to avoid creating another vampire by mistake anyway. Tell me, how is it done?
The process is dangerous. It could even kill your potential progeny. If you did decide to sire an offspring, they must drink of your blood, Jonathan.
So me being a vampire could have been a mistake.
I very much doubt it, Jonathan. Contrary to the legends, it is not as simple to make another vampire by just biting someone.
A vampire? Is that what I am? What we are?
Such a crude word, defined by penny dreadfuls and drunken hacks. No. You are now an Ekon, and that you shall remain.
An Ekon?
So we are Ekons. How can I identify us amongst other vampires?
How to put it? All Ekon are vampires. But all vampires are not Ekon. We are but a branch of the immortal tree.
Are you an Ekon too?
Yes, I am. We are the closest thing to what man refers to as vampires. Forget what you think you know about us.
I've been hearing a voice talking in my head. Is this some kind of insanity? It feels like the voice of the vampire that created me.
Hush. Tell no one this. It would be unwise to talk of such things amongst British immortals. Speak no more of your maker.
Excuse my forwardness, but are you my maker?
Me? Goodness, no. Only a foolish immortal would create a progeny without taking precaution, and I'm no fool.
How could this cause offense?
Only the powerful immortals can mentally call to their progeny. No vampire or hunter will sleep easy, knowing that an unidentified elder is stalking the streets of London.
I bid
Nou,
you
dan hebben we het hele gesprek gevoerd.
for now, my lady. I must quickly analyze the blood I took from Nurse Crane's patient.
Ja, we kunnen dat bloed nog analyseren. Dat gaan we doen in onze kamer. Waar we ook nieuwe medicijnen gaan maken. Want dat hadden we opgebruikt. En dan kunnen we daarna een checkpoint maken. Dat lijkt me wel verstandig. Hoppakee. Nou, hier is de workbench. Kijk, treatment voor fatigue heb ik allemaal opgebruikt. Nieuwe maken. Dat we gewoon voldoende treatments op zak hebben. Analyze zijn blood. Light stamina serum. Kan ik mijn wapen nog verbeteren? Ja. Level 3. Kijk aan. Dingen trashen. Kan ik ook nog doen. Hup. Nog meer damage. Altijd goed. Treatment voor bronchitis. Oh, die had ik gevonden. Een man met bronchitis.
Razvan Vasily was infected by Spanish flu, but also has the highly unstable blood of the Scowls. Is the London vampire epidemic transmitted through the flu?
Oeh, dat zou kunnen,
talk
ja.
to Dr. Swansea about it.
Nou, dat gaan we doen in een volgende video. We gaan eerst even op bed liggen. Dan gaan wij hier onze skills uitbreiden. Voordat wij... wat is dit? Je kunt jezelf healen. Ja, allemaal hartstikke leuk. Ik wil gewoon... skills. Life regeneration. Hup. Ik heb nog 1700 te besteden. Ja, dan kan ik nog extra HP. Fancy. Oh, daar heb ik niet genoeg punten voor betere healing. Shadow Vortex. Focus. Nou, dit lijkt me wel een goede skill. Kost 1000. Ja, goede skill. Nou, confirm. Hoppakee. Nachtje slapen. Police raid in Whitechapel. Oké. En we hadden nog wat mensen geholpen. Die heeft nog fatigue, die heeft bronchitis. Die kunnen we helpen. We hebben net medicijnen voor gemaakt. Hij heeft migraine. Daar heb ik geen medicijn voor. Ja. Alright. En dan is het de volgende dag. Maar dat gaan we pas doen in de volgende video. Gaan we praten met de andere dokter. En ja, voor nu, we hebben Whitechapel helemaal uitgemolken. Alles gezien, met iedereen gepraat. En het gevolg daarvan is dat wij nu een verband hebben gevonden tussen de Spaanse griep en mensen die in vampieren veranderen. Een bijzondere verbintenis. Maar toch is het ons gelukt. In de volgende video gaan we verder op onderzoek uit. Ik hoop dat jullie dat weer samen met mij willen doen. Zie ik jullie graag de volgende keer.